development, and I led teams around the world, visited over 100 schools around the world, including schools here in India, to see what the school of the future could look like. And so I brought teams of teachers. We were about 10 teachers at a time. We'd go to a city and we'd visit about 10 schools. And we went to Australia, we went to New Zealand, we went to Finland, we went to Germany, we went to India, we went to China, to visit schools, to see what they were doing. The top schools, the schools that rose to the level, the highest level, were the schools that were unapologetically whatever it was that they were. They weren't wishy-washy. They knew what they believed. They knew what was important to them. The teachers knew what was important to them. The parents knew what was important to be a community member of that school. The students knew what was important and what they believed about teaching and learning. If you want to attract leaders who align with you, you need to have a deep conviction about who you are, what you believe. That law of attraction will attract the right leaders to your schools. In order to mitigate for some of the risks, you need to involve your community. I love seeing leadership recruitment processes that involve their teachers, their parents, their students. What are you looking for? Make sure that your children, your students, get to interview the incoming head of school. They will ask the real questions. They will make the real statements. Do not think that this is an adult exercise only. Involve your community to make sure that you have the right fit candidate. They will also tell you, when you ask them for feedback, whether the candidate has a deep love and care and respect for children. And I think all too often we are hiring executives, we are hiring CEOs, but we fail to actually try to measure whether or not these individuals that we're hiring, that we're putting in place in our schools, actually love kids, actually want to be with children, and are safe around children. This is a trend that I think is not happening enough, but I think it's really important. As you've heard by some of the panelists, there is a teacher shortage globally. Individuals are not coming to the workforce, the teacher workforce, in the same way that they were in the past, and that's also replicated in leadership. There is a leadership shortage in schools around the world, including international schools. I think it's incumbent upon us to recruit from within. Not just give the job to the person who wants it the most, but create opportunities for the individuals who are committed to your organization, to your schools, to develop the skills, develop the credentials, so that they can step into roles of leadership. Often, what we hear is, I don't want to do that because then that person, that rock star, is going to leave. I think we need to be building pipelines of leadership, and our schools will benefit when we grow our leaders from within. Obviously, they need to know their job. Leaders need to have the skills, the competencies to do the job. And those are things that you can assess during the interview process, etc. Cultural competence. You want people who understand a variety of different cultures, who enjoy getting to know, leaning in, whatever context that you have. And then you need to have a balance of IQ and EQ, which is obvious. But all too often, our schools focus on the IQ, and we forget that we are in the people business. Our leaders need to understand people, need to understand people's emotions, because leaders are in the people business. I often say when we're developing a strategic plan that the people are the plan. It's the people that are the plan. Let's invest in the people. If we have a vision as to where we're going to go, we need to make sure that we're investing in the people that can get us there. And then there's AI. This is a really interesting one. On one level, we're seeing a lot of AI tools that are developing in this space that I think are quite powerful. In an ideal setting, AI can be used to mitigate against bias, conscious or unconscious bias. It can actually give you an assessment of your candidates in an unbiased way. But as we've heard over and over again during this conference, is that the human element needs to be a part of that process. And if we are simply relegating the recruitment process to AI, then we are going to fall short in our recruitment. So it is a thoughtful, balanced approach using the tools that are available without abdicating the roles and responsibility that we have as humans to actually make the choice and select our future leaders. I have served on the International Task Force for Child Protection, and in my role at the State Department, one of the responsibilities that I had was to collaborate with all of the agencies, whether it's FBI, Homeland Security, etc., to catch bad guys. And unfortunately, our international schools are not protected from predators. We have them, and they are active in our communities, and they are looking for ways to access our schools and our children. And so you have to take this child safeguarding part very, very seriously when you're interviewing and recruiting your next leader. One of the best ways to mitigate against hiring somebody who's unsafe with children is to actually call that reference. Call them. Make the call. Make sure that you are talking to that person's leader and ask them, do you have any reason why I should not hire this person? Do you have any concerns when it comes to child safeguarding with this individual? Often they will not write that down on a piece of paper on the letter of recommendation. They will not write it down, but they will tell you in a phone call. So please, I am utterly surprised at how very few, I have led thousands of teachers over the last 31 years. I get a couple of calls a year, just a couple of phone calls a year when it comes to hiring the teachers that I've worked with. Call. When you create your recruitment team, make sure you have a diverse recruitment team. Make sure you have men and women, older, younger, students, parents. The more diverse your team is, the more perspectives you're going to get on that leader. Diversity is your best way of creating a successful recruitment process. Please do not just think that because you are the boss and you're making this decision to hire that person, that you see it from all of these different perspectives. Diversity is key. The last two are interesting. I think transition support is something that's trending right now in leadership recruitment, mostly in the executive world. When we hire executives for our schools, we have to come up with a plan to offer transition support. That can be in the form of coaching, that can be in the form of a partner that's on the ground, some kind of ambassador to your school, but you have to have somebody with eyes on that person. And then the last thing that I think is often forgotten is that often our leaders come with a spouse. And the spouses are often forgotten, male or female, they are often forgotten in the equation. I can't tell you how many times we have failed recruitment processes within the year within 2 years where the school says this is not working, it has to do with the spouse. The spouse is not happy. The spouse is underutilized. The spouse is bored. The spouse is overwhelmed. Spouses are often overqualified and underutilized in our schools. We've got to solve that problem. We've got to get them engaged, but we also have to offer support. And then the last thing I'll say, this is a little bit of a pitch, is that you can also hire recruitment firms like ours to help you with that process. And that's what we do. We help schools, we help boards, we help school leadership teams find their next leaders, and that can also help you make sure that you are going through all of the steps. Our search associates, we have about 9,000 teachers in our database. 3,000 of them are active at any point and looking for jobs. And so our hope is that you as schools will become members, go into our database, look for the criteria, the type of criteria teachers that you're looking for, so that you can access the highest caliber teachers and also school leaders through our services. So that's just a little bit of a pitch there. And now I'd like to turn it over to some questions. We have a couple of minutes left, and I think questions are going to come up on the screen somewhere. Oh, they're here? Oh, yeah, they're here. Okay. So what mistakes do I see? Well, I think I answered that. What mistakes do most schools make when hiring? I kind of tried to answer that a little bit. How do you balance culture context when hiring in international schools? How do they know? I'm not sure I understand that, but I think I'll answer it this way. I think there's a shift in international schools happening. The traditional schools of 30 years ago were an attempt, and there are still some of these schools around, but fewer and fewer. There was an attempt to replicate your home country overseas. Singapore American School was created to create a little American school in Singapore. So there was this isolationist kind of perspective. Not a